morning, viewers of Ash TV. It's a pleasure meeting you for this other edition of your program Week Review. Remember, the first part of this program does a recap of the news around through the week. In the second part, we shall be welcoming our guest, Mr. David Ojong, who is the Secretary General of the Cameroon National Olympic and Sports Committee. The last but not the least, we shall have our segment entitled the No Comment. For right now, don't go far. We shall be right back just after this pause. Let's open in politics, where the security system of Cameroon's political capital, Yaoundé, is on a high alert since the 23rd of June, given that two bomb devices exploded in the Emana and Ituji neighborhoods. In the message addressed to police head in the region, the latter are called upon to carry out day and night security checks in taxis in a bid to track down possible suspects. Police authorities are, however, recommended that the above operation should take place without no disturbance and should take place in the respect of the law and orders put in place. Still in politics, the digital platform of the Cameroon's elections management body, ELECAM, has gone under a cyber attack. According to the board president, Eno Abrams Egbe, the attack was carried on Tuesday night around 10:22 p.m., with the attackers publishing false information. The official Facebook page of ELECAM has as a main image the leader of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, Professor Maurice Kamto, superimposed on the Cameroon flag with the inscription, "The truth shall always prevail." The official website of ELECAM equally came under the similar attack. Eno Abrams Egbe, in the statement, condemned the act, and he said investigations have been opened in order for the perpetrators of this crime to be arrested. This week was equally celebrated the World Day of Public Service, and for the occasion, the public service workers were called upon to act responsibly and to be regarded as a nation builders, given that they should provide quality service to the populations. The challenge was laid before them by the Minister of Public Service and Administrative Reforms, Joseph Lay, in Yaoundé this Tuesday, 23rd of June, in the message to mark the celebration of the 25th anniversary of the African Public Service Day. Minister Joseph Lay thus laid emphasis on the fact that the public service workers are regarded as nation builders and sustainable development promoters, given the quality of the services they render to their populations or to the populations. In health, the head of state, President Paul Biya, has made a donation of COVID-19 preventive materials to some religious communities in the city capital, Yaoundé. The gifts, which comprise 2,000 cartons of soap, 600 hand-washing buckets, 2,040 hydroalcoholic gels, 4,000 buckets and 15,000 face masks were handed over to the Archdiocese of Yaoundé, Protestant churches and 7 mosques. Handing over the presidential gift, Minister Atanganji called on the religious authorities to remind their faithfuls that the head of state is not left behind with the fight against the COVID-19, and that the faithfuls and that the religious leaders should call on their faithfuls to continue respecting the measures put in place to combat the COVID-19 pandemic in the country. Still in health, the government has set up a brigade to fight against the extortion of patients suffering from COVID-19, and equally those who go to the hospital for their COVID-19 test. According to the Minister of Public Health, Dr. Malachi Malauda, some staffs of hospitals still charge for COVID-19 screening, though the government has insisted it is free. The Miss Brigade set up is comprised of the Minister of Public Health and the General Delegation of National Security, following several complaints filed by hospital users. According to the health boss, this measure is equally put in place to track down the three T's, that is, tracking, testing, and treating the COVID-19 pandemic, that in order to stabilize the curve of the disease in our country. Now, still in health, Cameroon is heading towards a universal health coverage. And for this, the country needs the help of the World Health Organization. That is why our reporter spoke to the representative of the World Health Organization in Cameroon. Let's have a view.
The organization, as you know, is a member state organization. So in the context of universal health coverage, the World Health Organization has proposed to member states the way to go in reforming their health system, guide them towards the universal health coverage. So in the African region, the key date really is August 2017 in Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe, where ministers of health of the African region agreed on a framework for strengthening health system towards universal health coverage and SDGs. And that document clearly allow member states to know how to go about in reforming their health system towards universal health coverage. So in Cameroon, WHO and other partners have been working hard with the Ministry of Health to really do the analysis of the health system, the strengths and the weaknesses, and what is the way forward for Cameroon to achieve universal health coverage, which you should understand as a way where every Cameroonian should access quality health services regardless of the capacity to pay. So it's really accessing quality services and removing financial constraints. So that's really the agenda for the Ministry of Health and the government of Cameroon. And we are extremely excited to be involved in this with other partners. We have here UNICEF, we have World Bank and other partners. So this has been a lot of work despite the constraint caused by COVID-19. People have continued working hard to develop to review a draft which existed on health financing and also to develop a strategy for UHC and an implementation plan. So that's really the objective of this workshop. So this is just to share the documents with stakeholders towards its finalization in the coming weeks or months, and then the Minister of Health will validate the final documents, which will be policy documents for the Cameroon.
In economics, the Minister of Post and Telecommunication, Minette Libom Liliking, attended a video conference for the launching of a numeric platform for the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic in Africa. This conference was presided over by the Executive Secretary of the Economic Commission of the United Nations in Africa. We could equally acknowledge the presence of some African heads of states. The main objective of this platform, if we can say, is to stabilize the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic in our country. Now let's move on. Let's continue with the what is this issue, where the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, has joined its voice to the other national and international human rights fighting organization to ask of the Cameroon government to investigate on the Ouazizi's case. In a statement issued this 16th June, Audrey Azoulay, UNESCO Director General, said he is concerned about the circumstances surrounding the death of the Cameroonian journalist who was under police custody. He therefore asked on the government of Cameroon to investigate on the issue in order for them to judge if his rights were violated or not. Let's now move on to our sports page, where this week Cameroon and the entire global and the world community celebrated the Olympic Day, or the Olympic Week as we call it in Cameroon. This day is celebrated every 23rd of June to mark the anniversary or the birth of the modern Olympic Games worldwide. This year, the day has been celebrated in a particular context of pandemic, and the day was marked in Cameroon by the Cameroon National Olympic and Sports Committee, who decided to promote excellence with the graduation ceremony of the 5th batch of students of the advanced course in sports management, CAMS. We shall now listen to the president of the Cameroon National Olympic and Sports Committee, Mr. Hamad Kalkaba Malboum, who launched the Olympic Week in Cameroon.
We are going to support the effort of the government of Cameroon by spreading the messages that would help our athletes to protect against the coronavirus. Because many Cameroonians, I'm always watching in the city that people, they don't respect their measures. So they don't use the mask, they don't care, but they are wrong to do so. So we will ask our athletes to respect the measures that the government is promoting, or the measures taken by the World Health Organization. Because if they are not healthy, so they cannot reach the education, they cannot reach the high level competition. So this is what we are going to do. We are going to use the sport leaders in the country, but we are going to use also the icon of our sport, like the Mela, François Bano, and others, to talk to the younger generation that convince them to respect the measures taken by the government. Thank you very much.
Still in sports, this 23rd June, the Yafoot Club received a donation from the Yaoundé 2 municipality. The ceremony took place in the conference hall of this municipality. Handing over the gifts to the club, the mayor Yannick Aïssi congratulated them for positioning itself in the first division championship of the professional league. Ladies and gentlemen, dear viewers, that was it for the first part of our program. Let's now move on to the second part of our program, entitled The Guest. Welcome back, dear viewers. If you are just joining us, it's your program Week Review. We are in the second part of our program, and as we announced in our headlines, we are welcoming Mr. David Ojong, who is the Secretary General of the Cameroon National Olympic and Sports Committee. With him, we are going to talk about the Olympic Day, which is celebrated every 23rd of June worldwide. To have a clue of this interview, let's go inside. Just follow us. We are with David Ojong. He is the Secretary General of the Cameroon National Olympic and Sports Committee. Good morning, sir, and welcome to our program.
Good morning, my dear, and thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. We thank you for coming. So we are going to start with the Olympic Week. What is the essence of celebrating this day? What is the meaning?
Actually, this day is celebrating the creation of the modern Olympic Committee, or the modern Olympism, and it was created by Baron Pierre de Coubertin at La Sorbonne in Paris University. And it is worth mentioning that in the ancient Greeks, there was a competition that was bringing together sportsmen and women from that neighborhood. And during this period, all conflicts were coming to an end in order to allow the competitors to move from one point to the other, being it in conflict. So Baron Pierre de Coubertin in 1894 thought that by renovating these games, it will also help to actually reduce the number of conflicts around the world and bring people together. Instead of competing in the war battle, they could compete in the sports field. So that's how it was created in 1894 in La Sorbonne, with all the principles that we know today, like tolerance, the respect of each other, and so on, and fair play. And that's why we are talking about always the Olympic truce. The Olympic truce is the fact that during the Olympic Games, there should be no war. Everything must be focused on the games and not on any other thing like a conflict.
Okay, so what are some of the activities which are usually taking place on that day?
You know, usually, normally, prior to this COVID-19 that came up, the pandemic, the event was celebrated in Cameroon during a week. And during this week, we're using the opportunity at the level of the Olympic Committee to make the public to know about our activities, what the Olympic Committee is all about, and also for the common citizen to be aware of the Olympic values that the Olympic movement is trying to promote. All these values are included even in the moral values that are learned in schools or within our families: the respect of elders, the respect of each other, fair play, tolerance, and so on. So during this week, we use the opportunity through competitions, through roundtable conference, through exhibitions, photo exhibitions, even through projecting little films about the Olympic values. So that's what we usually do when the situation is normal, not like what we're having now with the COVID-19. So we had to adapt with the COVID-19 and do something to be present within the movement and celebrate this Olympic Day. But all around the world, during the Olympic Day itself, that is celebrated on the 23rd of June, there is what the Olympic movement calls the Olympic Day Run. It is just how can I put it, a run on the street, you know, to create awareness on the population about the Olympic movement and about its activities. But as you can see, as we are facing the COVID-19 and the decisions taken by the government and the World Health Organization that people should not be more than 50 meeting in the same point and mingling together, it was difficult to organize a day run. And also, you know, when running, you cannot put on a mask. Yeah. And it becomes also very difficult to organize the day run. That's why we had to carry out some of the activities.
Okay. So talking about something else, the athletes are on standby during this period of pandemic. So what are actually some of the activities which they do, in fact, to keep them on top?
You know, athletes actually are part of clubs, federations, and now they come to us when we have to go for multi-sports events. So within their clubs, these clubs actually develop some strategies to keep the athletes fit. And it was also actually promoted by national federations themselves. And all these, and these alternatives were made according to each federation, because what is actually conducive for a federation may not be for another federation. So it was specific for each federation. For instance, golf, they did not need that, because golf is a sport that is practiced respecting the barrier measures and so on. But meanwhile, football is quite different. And for football, then the footballers have to keep fit by doing few things at home or in neighborhoods where it is open and they can practice individually, respecting the barrier measures that were taken by the government and by the World Health Center. So each federation actually went on to take measures to keep the athletes fit. And normally these athletes should be fit because we don't know when the competitions will resume, when the international federations will decide to resume their competitions. And we have athletes that are still hoping to qualify because they still have events to qualify for the Olympic Games. And the federations now are working towards that. And we have a strategy now to give a helping hand to the federations so that this will be actually effective. And also you have our football team, the female football team, that is also has a qualifying match with Chile, and also they have to make sure that they keep fit for that. So the national federations and the clubs are working towards that.
Okay, when you talk about the National Olympic Committee giving their support to some federations or planning strategies to give their support to some federations, what are we actually talking about?
Mostly what we may do, because we're planning with the International Olympic Committee, because we're planning with the International Olympic Committee to financially support athletes who are at home without competition, maybe by taking care of things peculiar like their houses, renting, and sometimes even feeding and going to hospital to check how they are doing. We are working on that with the International Olympic Committee, and we are waiting results from what they will decide. And a few days ago also the President of the Olympic Committee was received by the Minister of Sports and Physical Education to see how these athletes could be helped. And the difficulty comes from the fact that we need to actually know who are the athletes who are supposed to be helped, because if we go that we can have all those who are practicing sports, I believe even the budget of Cameroon will not be able to assist them. Yeah. And you see that for us now, that is the main thing we have to do: select these athletes, see who are those who can be entitled to this assistance, and see how it can be given to them. Because athletes are living from the competition that are organized. That's where they are having some subsidies, or there are some money while winning, or anything of the sort, including their how can I put, their coaches and other staff of their environment. So we need to see into that. There is no competition, so there is no money generated, and they cannot be paid. So the Olympic Committee and the government should see what they can do. That's what we're working with the Ministry of Sports and the International Olympic Committee.
Okay, thank you, sir. We equally heard of a possible kickoff of competitions, and we wish to ask, what are the measures really going to take in place for the athletes not to be vulnerable to the disease? Like, what are the measures going to be put in place?
That was also part of the meeting between the President of the Olympic Committee and the Minister of Sports and Physical Education, because elsewhere where competitions are resumed, like in football in Europe, those footballers are tested almost twice or thrice a week, and these tests have a cost, and I believe no club in Cameroon can be able to afford taking at one test a week for sportsmen and women and their officials. It will be difficult. So the meeting between the President of the Olympic Committee and the Minister of Sports and Physical Education was to see how the Ministry of Health can come in and help these sportsmen and women when resuming to have tests, so that to avoid that those who are already affected could contaminate those who are not, and trying to isolate them during this period of competition resuming until when they are fit or they are cured and fit enough to come back into the competition. So only the government, at our level, we believe only the government can be able to assist clubs and national federations to come out with solutions regarding athletes going on the field COVID-free. Yeah.
Okay, in this period of pandemic, what is the message you can actually pass to the athletes out there who are watching?
You know, if I actually remain in the Olympic values that we are promoting, my word will be on that they should exercise tolerance, because we all know when we look around, most of those who are having who are affected by the COVID-19 are sometimes stigmatized, and meanwhile none of them actually went somewhere and bought the COVID-19, and they are stigmatized. So we ask our sportsmen and women to be tolerant and to understand that it is a normal disease, that everyone could be affected. You can actually decide to take all the relevant measures, but maybe when you get back home, when you feel you are free, maybe your son, daughter, or sister can come and contaminate you. So there is no need to stigmatize those who are having that. We should instead help them, because if we help them, we encourage them, they will be fit enough to come over the disease. So I'm asking the sportsmen and women to be actually tolerant. That's the word that I can put forward.
You should be tolerant within your teammates, dear sportsmen and women. That was our second part entitled The Guest. We were the Secretary General of the Cameroon National Olympic and Sports Committee. Thank you, sir, for coming.
Thank you very much for having me in your program.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Secretary General, for answering our questions. Dear viewers, we hope you could actually get something from this exchange. We are closely but surely moving to the end of our program as we go to our segment entitled The No Comment. We should learn how to wash the fruits we buy in the markets or even the spices we buy very well, because see where they wash these fruits, someone will not like to eat it. But at home, we should be very careful on the way we manage these fruits and vegetables. That was it for the program, dear viewers. We have come to the end of our program. We wish you enjoyed the program. We wish to thank the entire team of HTV, which mobilized for the success of this program. We thank our guest, Mr. David Ojong, for the technical support. We thank Gianni Bloom. We thank William Kamga and Frank Mbala. We hope, dear viewers, that you actually enjoyed the program. And if you did, we give you the rendezvous for next week, same hour and the same day, with the same pleasure, of course.